God is good, and all the time. Amen. How smart do you think you are? Take your order of service if you don't care. That finely drafted document, printed out on fine Egyptian cotton paper with expensive ink. Just kidding. Hold it up in your hand. Whoever's got it. Not like so I can see, just hold it up. All right, now, how many times can you fold that piece of paper onto itself? You would think an infinite amount of times, right? 11 is the world record. Why don't you get out the back door now? You just ruined the entire sermon. No, 11 is the world record. Okay, Kellen, help me out. What's the most folds that the average person can do? 7. How did you? That is so freaking weird. We did not work this out ahead of time. How did you know that?
I just know random stuff like that.
Me too. All right. Way too much time. Yeah, Tallis isn't here, so we'll pick on him. When he was a patrolman, he would say, "Oh man, I watched a lot of YouTube videos. You got to check this out." Right? You would think that the average person would think, I could fold a piece of paper an infinite amount of times till it disappeared, but most people can't get past 7, and the world record is 11. When I read that, I was like, no way! You got to do it like 20 times. So there I am in the office, like, I could, huh? That's why we're late today. I'm back at the house. Right? I can do it. I know I can do it, right? I'm going to tell you something that what you think you know about the universe, you probably don't. The universe that we live in, you think when you look out at the night sky and you see some of the planets and you see some of the stars, when you looked out at the night sky, you think you're seeing nothing. And you think you're seeing everything that there is to be seen at the same time. Sounds like a contradiction. You see the blackness of space and you think it's nothing. You see the stars, the galaxy, the universe is pretty big and you think you see it all. You only can see 5% of the known universe. All that's regular matter, stars, gases, supernovas, black holes, all 27% of the universe is made up of dark matter. We don't know what it is, right? Feynman, Einstein, Niels Bohr, Heisenberg, all the great names you can think of. 68% of the whole universe is dark energy. I mean, this sounds like something from Star Wars. Sounds like something supernatural, right? Everything that you can see only makes up 5% of the universe. And thanks to ChatGTP AI, which I have never touched, not that it's a Pandora's box, I treasure my creativity and my ability to think, and I'm afraid it would ruin that. I know it sounds stupid. Craig, it could really help you because you're boring. I know, but I like being me. So we've got all this unlimited information at our fingertips. And we think that we know more than we know. But there's an old saying out there. You never learn anything from life if you think you're right all the time. That's the saying. You never learn anything from life if you think you're right all of the time. I heard about an urban legend. I had to track it down because it sounded too good to be true, and it was. And I wish I didn't find out the reality. But the urban legend is, and for like the legend was that Adolf Hitler had a library of 1,000 books. But he said he didn't read them because he already knew more than all of the people. Tracked it down, comes to find out he had 3 libraries, probably in the tens of thousands of books. He had one in Berlin, one in Munich. I can't remember where the third one was. And he was an avid reader. In fact, he read a book a day. But he only read books that agreed with his preconceived notions. I like the other story better. 1,000 books, too good to read. I'm smarter than everyone else. So do with that what you will. I feel like I'm getting older because I get crankier. This week, Thanksgiving Day, we're in the kitchen. This is kind of embarrassing, but we're in the kitchen. I'm at the sink, and the police show up at the neighbors, right? First it's the squad car, then it's the SUV. And Tammy says, when did you become that guy, right? I'm out there, I'm like, Tammy, the police are next door. Must be domestic violence. I don't know what's going on. I know I'm getting old, right? And I get cranky, and I'm seeing things that have changed in my life that I didn't think would change. Think of all of the superseded facts, all the facts. I almost gave you guys the bird. I meant to do this. All the facts that you've been taught that have flip-flopped and have reversed over the years, right? The food pyramid. When I was in grade school, it was grains at the bottom, this. They flipped it over, right? Now grains and oils, right? You remember when we went from Crisco to canola to now all those are bad, right? How about eggs, right? When I was a kid, everyone ate eggs, and then all of a sudden, what? Eggs were what? They're bad for you. Cholesterol's bad. Then all of a sudden, eggs were good again, and then they were bad. And then it's no, eat the egg yolks. No, they have two different types of cholesterol, right? You got to have them. When bacon was bad. Now bacon for me has been amazing. I lost 60 pounds eating bacon. True story, right? Coffee, it's bad for you. No, coffee cures Alzheimer's. No, coffee is bad for you, right? Everything is back. And red wine. I'm going to go with the Harvard story, okay? Red wine, right? First it's bad for you, then it's good for you. Vaccines, whatever you want to name. Nothing seems to be stable, and it all changes. 1876. Anyone ever send something through Western Union? You guys are familiar with Western Union. 1876. They put out a company-wide memo. The telephone has no inherent value. Come on. Facts seem to change. I can remember in 5th grade, neighbors down the end of the street, tragic story I'm not going to go into. The dad worked at O'Hare Airport. He was an airplane mechanic. I'm in 5th grade. John Travolta, Olivia Newton-John, they made a movie called Grease. First movie I ever watched on a VHS player. They were $2,000 back then. $2,000 in 1970, whatever that was a lot of money. How long till those were obsolete? And then we had DVD players, which were lots and lots of money. Get one for $25, but why? Right? And then after the DVD, we had the DVR, which we never had one of those. Anyone ever have the DVR where you recorded your TV shows, right? They're all now what? Obsolete, because we all have all these streaming services. A VHS player is about as good as a CD player. When was the last time you bought a car with a CD player in it? Well, we bought 13 not that long ago. It has a CD player, and I'm like, oh yeah, and I'm like, wait a minute. Well, we used to have a bunch of CDs. They're gone. Who keeps up with the latest smartphone? I've got one son out of our 4 who always, he's in line when the newest cell phone comes out. I'm like, that's stupid, man. Hold on to it till it falls apart. We can't even keep up with AI. I read, I don't know how many stories that AI is blackmailing people so that it doesn't get shut down. Have you read this? AI has learned how to lie to people, and it's blackmailing computer engineers so that it doesn't get unplugged. Who's going to be able to keep up with that? And which of us in the room, if you're honest, trusts any news source or any government institution anymore? I don't. I'll be the first to say. It's become a tough world, which is why we fall into this trap. And here's the trap. We want to commit to a certain perspective, a certain mindset, and we go into self-preservation mode. If I'm wrong about one part, I could be wrong about the whole, and the entire house of cards can become collapsed around me. If I doubt a major single important truth, it can cause me to doubt what I believe about. It's as simple as how many times can I fold a paper. It's simple as how much of the universe do I think I really can see. And that real fear that we have, that I've got to make sure I'm certain about everything, is the number one obstacle to your personal growth. Mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. The obstacle to you becoming your fullest potential is that ungrounded fear. It's a real fear, but it's ungrounded because the doubt of certainty, if I can't be certain, is the absolute platform and appeal of relativism, a term you're familiar with. What's true for you is not true for me. It's ruined our society. It's corrupted our culture. It erodes the fabric of morality, of family, of society. Doubt. You can't know everything. But that's not the same as you don't know everything or you can't have any certainty. But we're fearful of it, especially as Bible-believing Christians, because truth is the pinnacle. Truth is the fulcrum that everything is balanced upon. And if I'm not completely certain, what does that mean? And so here is the flip side of that fear-based hindrance that prevents us from an absolute certainty, which really masks the frailty of our insecurity. So I become smug, I become bold, I become, if we'll be honest, as most believers, I'm going to become combative. I'm not going to be able to hear your differences of view. That's why I love what I started with in the welcome. Pope Leo and Bartholomew, the patriarch of the Orthodox Church, coming together. They have such different points of view, but they're kissing each other, the holy kiss. They're lighting unity candles together. They're praying together. I think it's a beautiful thing. So now I hope that you're asking, well, what's the antidote? What's the solution? How do I overcome the self-preservation of my insecurity that if I doubt something, if I'm not completely certain, or if I'm mistaken? It comes down to, are you a reflective person or a reflexive person? Can you reflect internally? Can you hold separate ideas side by side and examine them without undue fear? Or are you reflexive? As soon as someone challenges your line of thinking, do you instantly become defensive and lash out? You're going to shut down that disagreement before they even have a chance. I mean, we just had Thanksgiving this week. I know it probably didn't happen in your house, but think of all the people that accidentally talked about Trump or Fauci or COVID or the government shutdown or a host of other things that are just instantly asking for a sharp stick in the eye, right? Think about it. So what's the antidote to our self-preservation? Are you reflective or reflexive? How do you become a person who is reflective, who can think through things without overreacting and without making an idiot of yourself? Do you guys have anywhere to be? It's kind of rainy out. Anyone got big plans? Because I might go about 3 hours today. I'm just kidding. Jim, sit down! Close the door! No, but this is probably going to be a sermon that's at least 30 minutes long. All right? I'm just going to warn you. If you're watching at home, I don't know what to tell you. Don't go with what the majority says. Eric Fromm, the fact that millions of people share the same vices does not make these vices virtues. The fact that they share so many errors does not make the errors to be truth. And the fact that millions of people share the same form of mental pathology does not make these people sane. You can't go with what the majority says. Imagine you're in World War II Germany, and the majority says, you've got to kill the Jews. You're going to go with the majority? No. All right, so here's the antidote from the book of Proverbs. Chapter 9, verse 9. Listen to this. Give instruction to a wise man, and he will be still wiser. Teach a righteous man, and he will increase in learning. Stay teachable. I know the older I get, the harder that becomes. Chapter 12, verse 1. Whoever loves discipline loves knowledge, but he who hates reproof is stupid. I'm glad Harper's not in the room, because whenever I say stupid, she goes, Happy, that's a bad word. And she's right. Amber's nodding at me. I wonder how many kids in the classroom you have to chastise. Quit saying that. All right. Lots?
Not classroom, the one at the house.
Oh. Next, whoever ignores instruction despises himself. You don't value your own self if you're not open to learning. Who ignores instruction despises himself, but he who listens to reproof gains intelligence. When you can listen to someone correct you, and it's so hard to do. We're so certain that we know. Otherwise, we would have changed our mind. All right? Chapter 18, verse 15. An intelligent heart acquires knowledge, and the ear of the wise seeks knowledge. It's a good thing to grow. It's a good thing to learn. It's a good thing to read a book, right? Chapter 24. By wisdom a house is built. The house being a family lineage, not just brick and mortar, okay? And by understanding it is established. Verse 4. By knowledge the rooms are filled with all precious and pleasant riches. A wise man is full of strength, and a man of knowledge enhances his might. For by wise guidance you can wage a war. An abundance of counselors is victory. It's not just your own mind. You've got to have room to hear from outsiders. When Jim was CEO, he would always say he's surrounded by the best and the smartest, and then he made him look good. I remember you saying that over and over. And I'm like, does that mean like they make all the decisions or they know everything? You know, but Jim would always say, you know, I'm surrounded like 10 people or whatever it was, and they were the smartest, the brightest, the best at what they did. Think of any good president of a country, right? They have counselors and advisors who hopefully disagree with them and bring new ideas to themselves. Think about city hall meetings where the citizens can come and say to the mayor or the councilman, hey, we see it like this. Can you hear us? Right? Abundance of counselors is victory. Wisdom is too high for a fool. In the gate he does not open his mouth. The city gates was where the elders met. And when you had a discussion in Judaism, you went inside the city gate where the defenses were. And the elders, the wise people of the society sat there, and you brought it to them. But a foolish person is too dumb to go there and seek the advice of those who have been down the road. So those are principles to overcome this idea of uncertainty. But how do we overcome self-stagnation? Right? How do we overcome lost opportunities for progress? How do we really improve our potential for personal development, for spiritual growth, for emotional health? Embrace the uncertainty. Life is filled with uncertainties, and you can run from them. Kind of like in Mel Gibson's movie, not Mad Max, that one was okay, but Road Warrior was the best. That was the best one. And the villain says, you can run, but you can't hide. You can run from uncertainties, but you can't hide. Let your guard down. Embrace the fact that this life is filled with, I've got something in this bag. This bag isn't just sitting here for good looks. I got something in this bag that is absolutely going to change the way you look at reality. I've got something in this bag that is going to open your eyes. If you didn't already know about the paper being folded 7 times to 11 times, I've got something in here that's even better than that. Okay? Let down your guard, be vulnerable, see the chaos of questions that trouble you as an opportunity for growth. Look at your deficits, your weaknesses, your inabilities as the building blocks for real growth. Proverbs 12, the way of a fool is right in his own eyes, but a wise man listens to advice. But even better than that is chapter 14. There is a way that seems right to a man. I'm so convinced. I know this is right. I'm on the right path. But in its end is the way to death. Even in laughter the heart may ache, and the end of joy may be grief. The backslider in heart will be filled with the fruit of his ways, and a good man will be filled with the fruit of his ways. The simple believes everything, but the prudent gives thought to his steps. Look at being incapable as an opportunity and as a strength. Absolutely look at the fact that you are insecure as a positive, knowing that you have room for growth. All right. When was the last time you had a disagreement? And I mean a serious disagreement. Not one like where you're like hating the other person. It's someone you care about. It's someone you're really super concerned about. They mean a lot to you. They're a valuable person in your life. And you saw something completely different than they did. Can you think of a time like that? Someone that you love, someone that you care for, someone that's important to you, someone that you want the best for. And they are absolutely oblivious to what they need to do. And you sat down, and I guarantee you tried to use logic and reason. And I guarantee you it failed. Well, wait a minute, Craig. It's logical, it's reasonable, it's accurate. What I have to do is present my case to them. All right? How many different denominations are there in America? 25,000. I'll save you the effort. Unless I misread that, I read 25,000. Well, if we all read the same Bible, shouldn't we all draw the same conclusion? That's what logic would tell you. That's what reason would tell you. Powerful arguments rarely convince. And that's just the way it is. I'm going to give you a little secret here. Arguments fall on deaf ears. Logic, reason, they don't persuade. Do you want to know what does? Influence. It's not about evidence. It's about influence. That is why, listen to me, I can't tell you anything more important than what I'm about to tell you. Community matters. Community matters. You're going to be like the people that you hang around with. Gunner, you're going to be like your friends at school. They're going to influence you more than you're going to influence them. But guess what? The same thing is true for me. The same thing is true for every adult in this room. You're going to be like the people you hang around with. As iron sharpens iron, Proverbs 27:17 says, as iron sharpens iron, one man sharpens another. Sharpening includes friction and grinding, the removing of burrs, and getting to a precision and a usefulness. If you only hang around people who agree with everything that you have to say, you're in an echo chamber. But if you don't allow the people you hang around with to influence you, you're losing out. And then 1 Corinthians 15:33, Paul is quoting a Greek play. And he says, do not be deceived. Bad company corrupts good morals. Some translations will say, bad company corrupts good character. You're going to be like the people you hang out with. Arguments are not going to convince anyone. And you're not part of a group that takes communion every week before you came here. That's what the Bible says, and you have to do it. You're going to resent me if I don't say a word about the consistency of it, but we practice it. And I love the way we practice communion, right? We go back, we take the cracker, we have a cup of juice, we walk around and we talk. Now what happens? Hopefully, you're being influenced to enjoy something that other people can say it's a ritual that you have to take or you're going to hell. But hopefully the way that we practice it as a community is enjoyable and begins to make sense without anyone having to debate with you. It's about influence, not arguments. Stubborn pride gets in our way. Overconfident in our personality, we become impossible to be convinced. I'm listening to a book. It's 30 hours. I got a subscription to Audible because I do a lot of driving as we're pumping. Man, I love it, but it's really hard. I love listening to music more. But I'm listening to Ron Chernow's biography on Mark Twain, and it is amazing. I love it. I love a couple of quotes by Mark Twain that are very pertinent to this topic. Let me read two quotes from the great Mark Twain. The truth has no defense against a fool who's determined to believe a lie. The truth has no defense against a fool determined to believe a lie. But the next one is my favorite. When it comes to this idea of, are you reflective or reflexive? Can you find strength in the weakness of not knowing everything? All right, listen to this. Mark Twain. It's easier to fool people than it is to convince them they've been fooled. That, I don't need anyone to argue that into my brain. That, I know, is a fact. So in other words, ignoring our fallibility, ignoring our limitations is the biggest form of self-sabotage. We see people doing a lot of things that sabotage themselves. But number one, self-sabotage. The illusion of knowledge is the enemy of learning, right? Thinking that we know it all. Socrates, or if you're a Bill and Ted fan, Socrates dude, he said that he was the wisest person on earth because he knew that he didn't know anything. Aristotle said, the more you learn that you don't know and you need to learn more, or something like that, loosely paraphrased, right? You don't know as much as you think you know. But that's okay. Because confidence isn't the equivalent of competency. You don't have to be fully confident to still be competent. Doubt, which is a powerful tool, doubt isn't the equivalent of despair. The man who comes to Jesus, I believe, help me in my unbelief. Yes, thank you, Betty. Help me in my unbelief. Doubt's not defeat. Doubt's not despair. A counterfeit, over-complacent faith is a stagnant faith. Jesus says, you're the salt. What good is the salt if it loses flavor? Our faith needs to grow. Now, I told you I had something in this bag that I think is going to change your view. Change. No, this isn't Robert De Niro's Bagman movie where you don't get to find out what's in the bag at the end, right? All right. Oh, I don't know if I should let this out or not. Oh, boy. I don't know if you guys are ready for this or not. It's a bag full of books, so don't go, oh. Now, there's 38 books in the series. I don't have all 38 of them. These are, I know, Betty, just hang with me for a minute. These are books that in some cases have changed my mind. I like this one, Counterpoints by Zondervan. I like this one on baptism because one of my professors from seminary is actually a contributor to it. I know you're asking, Craig, how is this going to change my view of what I think I know? How could this be so important? I'm going to get to that in just a second. Let me see here. Some of the books I have here, Understanding 4 Views on Baptism, Creation, Evolution, Remarriage After Divorce, Who Runs the Church, Genesis, is it history, fiction, or neither? 4 Views on Hell, 5 Views on the Law and Gospel, 3 Views on Creation and Evolution, Moving Beyond the Bible to something or another. Let's see, 5 Views on Christian Apologetics. Here's the one that changed me. Our Miraculous Gifts for Today. I was a cessationist, a term you've not heard before. That's the term that says at the conclusion of the New Testament, all gifts of tongues and miracles and all that ceased. I'm now open but cautious, and it's because of this book here. Salvation in a Pluralistic World. This is good. Nominative pluralism, inclusivism, salvation in Christ and alone. I go, okay, all right. Exploring the worship spectrum, right? Formal, traditional, liturgical, blended, stuff like that. Show them no mercy, right? When God goes in and says, destroy all those people. Okay, what's my point? How is this so life-changing? What's so dramatic about this? We are an either-or type people. We are a black or white type people. We think there is either this answer or that answer, and we don't even stop to ask, wait a minute. There might be more than just 2 views. There might be more than 2 sides of, there might be more than 2 opinions. There might be, some of these books have 2, some of them have 3, some of them have 4, some of them have 5, and you're like, I didn't even know that there were that many questions to ask. If you'll be honest. When was the last time that you thought about salvation in either everyone's going to heaven or everyone's going to hell? When was the last time you thought there could be 4 or 5 different, completely different perspectives on a topic like that? Sorry to get so worked up, but as believers, we get so locked into the either or. I'm right, they're wrong. Well, guess what? You both could be wrong. In fact, 3 of you could be wrong. 4 of your perspectives could be wrong. Maybe there's a 5th one. That's our problem. We react. We get defensive. We stand our ground and we refuse to entertain the idea that maybe, like Twain says, It's easier to fool someone than to convince them they have been fooled. All right, where was I? Stretch your comfort zone. There you go. Examine contrary positions to what you think. Until you can do that, you don't have real ownership of your faith. If you want to draw an accurate conclusion, then you've got to be able to look at topics that concern you. Accurate conclusions. Speaking of conclusions, let me wrap up today, okay? I want to wrap up with this. Something you probably already know. Some of you say, I've known that all along, Craig. I want you to think about it harder, though. You never arrive. You never arrive. You are always learning. You are always growing. Betty, I will love you till the day I die, and one of the things I love most about you is you are an avid reader. You're what, 85 now? And you still like to read, right? There's hope for me. I love that about you. That's very special to me. Scott, I love your Facebook posts, even the sarcastic ones, but the ones about reading, about bookstores, about growing. And I know there's other ways of learning besides reading. Reading just happens to be the best. Changed my mind. Be a person who continues to grow. How do I do that? Realize I don't always have everything figured out, and I don't have to have it all figured out. Culture, society, news outlets, politicians, entertainers who think they're politicians, they all are going to stand on their podium and they're going to tell you, I'm right, you have to figure it out, you better agree with me. And it's not true. You don't have to have it all figured out. It's good to admit and accept our limitations. Stay curious. That's the best gift I could give anyone in this room. Stay curious. Stay interested. Recognize you're never done learning. Develop this idea of being reflective instead of reflexive. And here's the key to your personal growth in all areas. The Apostle Paul, writing to a group of people he had yet to meet. Most people don't realize when Paul writes the church in Rome, in that book that we called Romans, that he'd never been there. He had not met those people yet. And in chapter 12, verses 1 and 2, Paul says, I appeal to you, therefore, brothers, by the mercy of God, present your bodies as a living sacrifice, holy and acceptable to God, which is your spiritual worship. Do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by never changing any of your opinions and always being locked in steadfastly and stubbornly to what your grandparents told you. That's not what he says, is it? Be transformed by the renewal of your mind, that by testing you may discern what is the will of God, what is good and acceptable and perfect. All right, let's stand for another song, shall we?